From AIT Studios in Abuja, Nigeria, this is the O&M Sunday Show with Obiora Ilo and Mamode Akuga. From AIT Studios in Abuja, Nigeria, this is the O&M Sunday Show with Obiora Ilo and Mamode Akuga.
Hello and welcome. It's the O&M Late Show on a Tuesday night, and my name is Mamode Akuga. As usual, very excited to have you on the program today. My tag team partner, Obiora Ilo, is also in the studios. Obiora.
Hello and welcome to your show, the O&M show on AIT. It's a very busy Tuesday with all the arguments at the National Assembly today about whether the Vice President should be acting President, coordinator, and what have you. And some people say that we're always chasing the shadow and leaving the substance. But some other people say, look, it's very important. We need to talk about it. Let's know the intendment, of that letter.
Yes, think about Obiora. For those who, want to do things according to law, according to the spirit and letters of the wordings in our Constitution. Mm-hmm. Probably some people expected the letter from the presidency and from the president to state very clearly that the vice president
is the acting president.
Will become acting president for the period, not just
like the first letter.
Just like the first letter.
When he traveled the first time.
Yes.
Well, we have experts who are going to talk about that tonight. But it's also important that we talk a little about our girls that are back. Yeah. I don't know whether you find it a little curious that so many days after these girls came back, their parents didn't know whether their children or their daughters were among those that have been released. A lot of people think that's a little shoddy, a little untidy.
Well, Obiora, usually the way the release is, coordinated, with the benefit of hindsight from the first one, that they release these girls, they take them into, for medical checks and all that, at the same time informing their parents, and then before they bring them over to Abuja. Well, in this instance, the only thing that I probably could see that was slightly different in this whole arrangement was that Mr. President was supposed to leave on Sunday.
Sunday afternoon?
Yes, was supposed to leave on Sunday afternoon. But I think he also wanted to meet with the girls. So everything was, fast-tracked, most likely. His trip was delayed because he left much later so that he could wait back and then probably they had to hurriedly bring the girls to Abuja without, already talking to their parents, medicals and all that. So I don't know for sure, but just looking at the, trend of events, it's possible that that may have affected the normal, rundown of activities that, especially the first set of Chibok girls that were released.
The 21.
Yes, that were released.
Well, the other aspect that a lot of Nigerians have commented on, if you go to the social media and listen to radio and TV programs, is this politics that is being played with the release. I mean, the PDP says, that APC is playing politics and all that. And some people are saying, for something, that for me, it's a solemn thing, when we have these girls out there for 3 years.
Yes,
3 years, and they're released, and political parties and some individuals
they jump on the matter,
file your share and
try
all
to
of them.
politicize
They're trying
it.
to make some political gain from it.
For a nation, it's a very, very serious matter. I am happy. I'm excited. I thank the president for making it possible. But on the other hand, I am also very cautious about it because the release of these girls, was effected through an exchange of, Boko Haram
detainees.
Yes, and operators as it were, fighters as it were. So we're releasing back to Boko Haram, confirmed terrorists as it were. So I'm a little bit worried about that, but that does not take away from the fact that I'm so excited at the fact that the parents of these girls, I mean, if you are a parent, you can't imagine the feeling.
But Mahmoud, all over the world, including those countries in the West that talk about not negotiating with terrorists, you find out that at some level, you have to
something has to happen, yes.
Like, I mean, look at Israel, look at the United States, look at the European countries. I mean, I'm not part of government, but I know that Jonathan administration, the Buhari administration, they must have done so many things to see how they can release these girls. Yeah, so if we have to, bend a little over and get, I mean, you can't equate anything with seeing those 82 girls, filing out, and the joy, the parents. Sometimes I imagine if one was exposed to this kind of situation, how would I feel? 3 years without your little daughter?
I think, Obiora, you can't even imagine it. So let's not.
We can forgive anything.
The trauma for the parents,
and the girls, of course.
And a few of them.
You heard about those that said they're not coming.
That's another part of the whole thing. But a few of the parents over this period have passed on from high blood pressure, hypertension, and things arising from the fact that they've been seriously traumatized, over the children.
Anyway, so these are some of the issues we are talking about tonight. Firstly, we are going to talk about the departure of Mr. President and the task.
But Obiora, really talking about Mr. President's departure, I think that we need to come to terms with the fact that I expected that he would have gone much earlier. But, they kept on holding on the president. He could not attend to Federal Executive Council meetings. I think 3 of them he could not attend. The Vice President had to
3 weeks running
superintend over, effect meetings. Then even the regular Jumat service, he had to miss 1 or 2, that he was known to attend. So, and that conveyed a message to the nation that, the president was
that all is not well.
Yes, was really indisposed, and I was beginning to wonder. If he's really indisposed, his doctors are in the UK, why not go and take care of your health? So, but finally,
he has gone.
Yes, he's gone to the UK to take care of himself, and I think that is indefinite. The doctors will decide.
There's no timeline.
Yeah, there's no timeline. Doctors will decide when he comes back after proper treatment and all that. But the Vice President has shown from the last time that.
That is capable of taking charge.
Very capable. So, but, I think that...
we'll see how it goes.
Nigeria will move on well.
So tonight we are looking at the task before the acting president, Osibajo.
Yeah.
What are his immediate challenges? What do we expect him to do within this time that the president is not there? And of course, we talk a little about what has happened with our girls, the release, the impact of the release, and what Nigerians are expecting. Yeah.
And to do justice to that, we have three gentlemen in the studios tonight. First, we have a political scientist, MUKHTAR Imam, who is a lecturer at Nile University that's based in Abuja. So he'll be joining us.
And giving us the political insight to all this.
But, you know, the legal aspect to it, very, very clear. We have two lawyers. First, of course, is in-house legal analyst, Barrister Frank TIETIE. And
CHUMA Nwafo, who is also a lawyer and public affairs analyst. They're all in the studio right now. And in a moment, they'll be joining us. So don't go away. Let's take a break. When we return, we'll look at the facts.
Are you watching Nigeria's biggest late night show?
We are putting Buhari before you. Will he lead us well?
He is a man of integrity. He's a glory to Nigeria.
What we're talking about is the oppressions in the field.
No, at times the media likes to pontificate.
Let me actually say that gargantuan projects that they are attempting to do are supposed to be left for the states. Let's make a sacrifice in the interest of the masses of this country by reducing our own pay.
Many people who are arguing about the activities of nations and they are doing so out of ignorance.
Don't interrupt me! You are a foster!
I hope to win an award. Who knows, maybe next year.
This last election, we lost majority, but we didn't do bad.
Yeah, because we didn't share the money well.
Let us keep praying for our country, Nigeria. People should rally around us to ensure that they give us relevant support, they give us timely information so that we do what we're supposed to be at all times to secure this country.
O&M Late Show and O&M Sunday Show with Obiora Ilo and Mahmoudia Koga. Tuesdays, 11 p.m. and on Sunday, 2 p.m.
You're still watching the O&M Late Show. Time now to bring our guests into the studios. We invite first MUKHTAR Imam, political scientist and lecturer at Nile University, Abuja. Also, Barrister Frank TIETIE, our in-house legal analyst.
And CHUMA Nwafo is also a lawyer and public analyst. Frank, you're welcome. CHUMA, you're welcome too.
CHUMA is clutching a copy of the Nigerian Constitution. Also, okay.
Always ready.
You have an e-copy. So.
Gentlemen, you're welcome to our show.
Yes,
well, the president is away, and we understand that the vice president will be acting in his place. I used to say on his behalf, but I'm corrected as in his place. So, but there's been, like everything in Nigeria, just that the president wrote a letter, so many issues are cropping up from the letter. Let me start with you, CHUMA. Do you think anything is wrong with the president's letter to the National Assembly?
If you want to look at it based on the letters, the previous letters written by the president, and also the use of words, the choice of words, I think there is some questions to it. In the first place, there's a great difference between saying someone is a coordinator and is acting president. A coordinator refers to somebody who has the duty to organize, manage a group, or put things together. That's who a coordinator is. But what this section of the Constitution stipulates is that the vice president will become the acting president. So he has all the powers of the president, acting, not coordinating the government. Anybody can be appointed a coordinator. We've had the minister coordinating the economy. Yeah. That's a different ball game. You know, but I think that that the president of the Senate, in his wisdom, tried to manage the situation by saying, well, the opening of the letter has said that this letter is written in compliance with section 145(1). So in that light, I think that that takes care of that issue. But I think it's wrong. It's an aberration. It's an abomination. Such words shouldn't be used for such a sensitive letter.
Okay.
Because and you know the second issue is he has written previous letters. Such words were not used. So why use it?
Okay. Let's before we go to MUKHTAR, let's also get another legal opinion on this. Frank, in this situation, can a letter cause any trouble?
Certainly not. Certainly not. I think I would shock you probably that the president is, I would say, or rather making it a past tense now, was more correct, or rather is more correct this time around by this letter than the previous letter.
How do you mean?
Oh, simple. Where did you get the word acting from? It's unknown to section 145. All that the president needs to do is to communicate to the president of the Senate and then the Speaker of the House of Representatives that he's going on vacation. Certainly, that's all. So it is not in the president's place to decide who acts or who coordinates. It's unknown to the provisions in question or section. No, the word that is used in section 145 is that the vice president, whenever the president is going anywhere else in the name of vacation, all that is required is that the president should communicate to them that he's traveling. He's going on a vacation.
So it's automatic for the vice president?
Once he does that, once he communicates to the Senate president and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the vice president automatically, the word the Constitution uses, uses, is discharge the functions of the president. So the president went overboard in the previous letter by saying shall act. It wasn't in his place.
The Constitution had taken care of it.
Now he has also gone out of the line by saying coordinate. He didn't have to say that. Or that the principal requirements are that communicate to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, communicate to the Senate President that you are traveling.
And then you go.
Just go. And then until the President himself again, by another letter, communicates to these two individuals that I have come back, the Vice President shall continue to...
As acting President?
No, not acting President, sorry. Continue to discharge the functions of the President as if he's the President. So the President can actually come back to the country and stay in the villa until he writes that letter back to the Senate President.
That's what happened the last time.
Yes. So
the return board was
it is not in the place of the President to decide the capacity in which the President would operate when he's out of the country. The Constitution is automatic.
Well, before we come back, MUKHTAR, I'll come.
There's an issue he raised.
Maybe you shouldn't go to MUKHTAR.
There's an issue he raised. I would like to read that part of the Constitution so that it will be very clear. Section 145(1) says, whenever the president is proceeding on vacation or is otherwise unable to discharge the functions of his office, he shall transmit a written declaration to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives to the effect that until he transmits to them a written declaration to the contrary, the Vice President shall perform the functions of the President as acting President.
Is there?
That's acting President.
Okay, the Constitution says
that. The Constitution says it clearly as acting President.
We're saying the same thing.
So
it is not in the place of the President to say. The President, the Constitution has already said it.
The Constitution has already said it. But you try to tie it down purely to functions. No. He said he will act as acting President. He will perform these functions, yes, but
As
I'm sorry, as a
president.
layman
Yes.
who is not learned, I mean, legal terms, a written declaration.
Yes.
What does that? Is that anything special? Is it a written declaration to declare what?
Well, to state the purpose. You know, because it says clearly here, whenever the president is proceeding on vacation.
Because I'm just thinking to myself,
yes.
Could that also mean that, you know, he needs to state very clearly, you know, that the vice president will act?
Oh, yeah.
Is that what it means by any chance?
There is a conflict in this letter. The conflict here is that the beginning of the letter says, in compliance with section 145(1). So by, you know, picking on section 145(1), you have already said that this man is the
But let me ask you, Chuma, let me ask you. We all went to school.
Yes.
When the president discharges the duty of the presidency, is he not coordinating? No. I mean, semantics. I'm talking about semantics now.
You may call it semantics.
No, because he didn't call him coordinator. He just said he should coordinate among the other things he would do. I mean, we didn't go to school in terms of the lawyers. Yes. But when somebody, as a president, what do? You coordinate.
There's a great difference from asking somebody to sit in my office, run my office, and on the opposite side, ask somebody to sign on my behalf. There are two different things.
Maybe we should.
The politician needs to.
The political side.
The
coordinator can only organize. He can only organize. He does not have the powers. The framers of the Constitution were very careful about this, and that's why at the end they said, as acting president.
Let's listen to the political scientists.
So that somebody will not import the word coordinating. That's why they put the word acting president.
Politically speaking, you know, where has anything gone wrong?
Well, the thing is, politically there's nothing wrong with what has happened here. We're people governed by law. And the law says the president should transmit a letter to the leadership of the National Assembly while going on vacation. I think he's done that. Like he rightly said, it's about semantics. But of course, as we all know, we have complications with our law. As far as this country is concerned, there's so much complexities, ambiguities. And then you begin to find where lawyers try to take advantage of these ambiguities and loopholes to interpret certain sections of the Constitution the way they deem fit. These are some of the challenges that we have encountered over time. Not necessarily pinning it down to what we're talking about here. Yeah? But these are some of the things. But of course, again, to give them certain leverage, these phrases actually have their technicalities. They have their literal conceptions and what have you. As far as the word coordinating is concerned, a lawyer could look at it and say it doesn't really apply to the section of the Constitution, or as he has said, there isn't the need for it in the first place, for it to apply to the letter which the president is transmitting. But ultimately, what the law requires is that the man transmits a letter to the leadership of the National Assembly, which he has done.
Section of the Constitution.
So why are we enmeshed in all these trivialities when there are other issues that we should be talking about here? But it's quite okay that we try to clarify some of these things. And of course, we need to go back to these laws and look at these ambiguities and these loopholes and lacunas in them and try to correct some of these things in the event of future occurrences, so that we don't begin to run around and say this is that, that is this.
But was there any politics involved in what happened today at the Senate, considering the fact that Senator Mao Abunwa was a PDP senator, but he was shot down by the leader of the Senate, who is, of course, APC. You know, and of course, he died a natural death. But was there politics involved in that?
Of course. I mean, that's the haven of politics as far as a democracy is concerned. So you should expect nothing less than politics. It's all politics, what is going on there. As far as these technicalities are concerned, for crying out loud, what exactly is the illegality in all of this? Let's look at it even from the legal palace.
Okay, gentlemen.
So, apparently it's all politics.
Gentlemen, let's not talk about the technicalities anymore. Let's look at the challenge before the acting president. What are the challenges? I mean, we are Nigerians. What should we suggest should occupy his time? What should be his priorities? because first of all, we have this issue of Nigerians so worried, so afraid about their president. What should the vice president do now to bring back confidence in the country? You want to go?
Well, you said that we should not talk about technicalities.
Let's leave this technicality.
But there's a part of it. There's a part of it that I think we should probably clear before we go ahead. Is it possible that we may wake up tomorrow if the vice president takes certain actions today and then the president returns tomorrow? Is there anything known to our constitution that can say that whatever he has done is null and void as a result of not being...
No, certainly not. I think let us emphasize this, that the letter is in order, just like the first one, except that there was surplusage. He didn't need to describe who should act or who should coordinate. He didn't need that. All he needed to have done, he fulfilled the provisions.
I'm leaving.
And just that's all. And we haven't, in the times that we've had these issues, right from the time of President Yar'Adua, former President Yar'Adua, late President Yar'Adua, and the last time our president departed for the UK, we haven't had the opportunity to really define the powers of an acting president. Now, the politician will understand, the political scientist, I would say, he's not a politician, will understand the reason why we haven't attempted to actually delimit or define the scope of what an acting president should do or not do. Jonathan was acting president when he sacked ministers, if I'm not mistaken. Was acting president when he sacked, that is when he reshuffled the cabinet. That was a fundamental decision to make as an acting president. But that showed you that there is no limit to what an acting president can do.
An acting president is the president.
Is the president within that time. What the reason why...
An acting coordinator?
No. It will not, you see, the president, let us be generous.
The letter did say the vice president. At the material moment...
Let me tell you the reason why the president may have, because I attempt a stream of consciousness in the mind of the president, why he used the word coordinate. There is this need for that reassuring the presence of the president in terms of the word coordinating. We started using it with regards to the economy. The president needed to reassure his people. Our president is not a king. We have a president that is a constitutional president and not a king, not a monarchy. Now, he needed to tell them that, look, that I'm away doesn't mean that the certain parts of the country will run aground. This man is sufficient. He will be in a situation to coordinate every aspect, without the exclusion of any. I think he was just trying to be reassuring. Now, he didn't need to say that. He didn't need to say he was acting. He didn't need to say he was coordinating. And I commend what happened, the sagacity of the Senate today in downplaying the attempted motion by Senator Hamel. It wasn't necessary at all. Now, when you ask what are the tasks before the president, the acting president, clearly there is this, the forces that are pulling apart the government. They are very strong and they are very many. In that regard, we expect an acting president that will douse a lot of tension. Now, we cannot disregard the kind of politics we have in Nigeria, the politics, the geo-directional politics we have, politics of geography, where you come from, the politics of ethnicity, the politics of who gets what, when, and how, regarding, but this time around, not in the interest of the larger
majority.
Yes, but in the interest of the few, in the words of Obayagba, the microscopic few, Now, we would expect an acting president that would show the other side of the presidency that has been missing. Our president has been grappling with fundamental things, corruption, and his body language has attested to that, and it's still, we've seen recoveries and all of that. But our president, the authentic president, has neglected quite a lot aspect of what a Nigerian presidency should look like, particularly in terms of unity, in terms of appointments, in terms of reassuring ethnic nationalities that they are part of this country. So now, this time around, this vice president in acting capacity must now realize that he must show the other side that has been missing in the Buhari's presidency.
Well, my brother is a good lawyer, so sometimes he tries to go in and come out at the same time. It's acceptable. But you know, like I said, there was no need to reassure. Use that statement, he will be coordinating. The acting, that says all that you need to say. But leave that as it may, the vice president is fixed with enormous task. One is that this government came into power and neglected an essential part of our constitution. Section 14 of our constitution makes it extremely very clear that in the management of this enterprise, this federation, that the principle of federal character must be acknowledged to bring about unity, loyalty within the system. And we know we are a nation built around different ethnic nationalities, and they have neglected that. The South-East, the South-South, they are basically not part of this government. So what are we saying? We're saying that if you want to run an all-inclusive government, what is the motto of our nation? It will shock you. The first word there is unity. Yes. It's essential that we continue to build bridges that will bring us together, not that will tear us apart. The framers of our constitution made sure that they put this there to unite the country, promote unity among the country, to preserve the nation. But what this government has done from the onstart is to tear that down. Those who they felt did not support them or did not vote for them, all right, you will not be part of the governance.
No, but Chuma, you have people from South-South, you have people from South-East as members of the government. So how can you say they are not part of it?
No. See, hold on, please. Let me give you an example with the Southeast where I come from.
Okay.
The president is there. The VP is from the Southwest. The secretary to the government, you know where he's from. The Senate president, the House of Reps,
Speaker.
The Speaker. The only person you have from the Southeast who is there is two of them. The Minister for Science and Technology, Bonayono, and the Minister for Labor. So in essence, what are you saying?
How about the other ministers from Enugu? From Abia?
Well, you know what?
You know something?
Chuma.
Normally, in the appointment of ministers, every state brings one. That's normal. But we are talking about things that will build unity. How have we been practicing this? What is the federal character all about? That's what we are talking about. Yeah.
See, I think
MUKHTAR.
Yes.
MUKHTAR, as you know, as an acting president, this area that Chuma is talking about, is it an area an active president can venture into without causing ripples politically?
Certainly, as you have said, it will create a lot of ripples. The thing is this. Look, let's step back a bit. When we analyze these issues, we must try to use variables, statistics that are realistic, things that people can see. We shouldn't just sit and make bogus assumptions about how the government is trying to tear the country apart on the basis of disuniting people. The federal character is there. The reality is, yes, over time, certain segments of society have had these issues thrown up within the social media and what have you, but it has lacked content. There is no substance to it. When you speak of appointments and you're speaking of the Senate president and the vice president, is that a political appointment? Is that the position of the, is the president in the capacity to select people who become Senate president and House of Representative speakers?
Yes.
Of course. To select them.
Yes. Influence the selection.
Influence, of course, that's a different thing entirely. That's a different thing entirely. But the point here is this. We must try to limit these things. These are principles. Yes, if you're talking about influencing it, you see, entirely you have shot yourself in the feet. Influencing it is an entirely different thing. You understand the point? But away from that, speaking of appointments, ministers and what have you, I think there is absolutely no reason for the whole hullabaloo that we hear about appointments and ministerial slots and head of agencies and what have you.
Are you saying that there shouldn't be federal
There is a balance. There is a balance.
Are you saying there shouldn't be federal
Where is the
character in those
statistic that says that there's a loopsidedness?
There've been statistics.
Let's
go back to DSS.
Give me
the
figures.
DSS
recruitment
controversy.
Yes, the controversy that just came up now, as far as the recruitment is concerned within that agency. Yes, of course, these are all controversial issues. Within the DSS, there is a controversy today. The same happened with CBN under Goodluck Jonathan with Sanusi Lamido as the CBN governor then. These are all controversies within a particular agency, but we're talking about the head of these agencies where the appointment is subject to the president's approval.
But there are statistics. What I'm trying to say is that there are statistics.
Where are they? In what appointment are we looking at? Away from all of these issues. Away from these issues.
I think that
what is most important here?
Let me bring a fundamental point that I think that this vice president, as acting president, can show some influence. Now, this area that we're talking about, I think that it will cause too much political
I was going
crisis.
to go there, Felix.
Yeah, now, the vice president is a senior advocate of Nigeria, SAN, professor of law, as it were. This government came into office, chanting the mantra of anti-corruption. Where they have had serious problems is prosecuting corrupt people.
Successfully.
We have seen discoveries, we have seen, arrests, unmasking of people, as it were, who are corrupt and all that, but they have not successfully prosecuted not even one. Not even
Felix,
one.
The point is,
yes.
All of that has to do with technicalities with the laws. We need to go to court. You see how these things, they take time, and what have you, for you to prosecute, and all of the procedures and processes that you have to go through, the cumbersomeness of the courts and all whatnot. But we shouldn't even limit ourselves to that. Speaking of trying corruption cases and what have you, there are a whole lot of other issues. For example, you spoke of federal character. I mean, we sit here and tie ourselves to the idea of quota system and federal character where we misplace priority. Why shouldn't we employ people based on merit? We bring people on the basis of mediocrity, and then we all have a bunch of mediocres within systems. And this is what we want because of the basis of quota system and federal character. That's a misplacement as far as I am concerned. I'm not saying we should take away the federal character principle. Of course, it's quite important. We're a heterogeneous society, yeah? So that we can show equity to all the divides of ethnic nationalities within this country. But the thing is, why should we throw away the idea of merit? Where is that? Away from all that, there are immediate issues that trigger down, of which consequence triggers down to the ordinary Nigerian.
Like
micro and macroeconomic issues. We need to begin to come back to say, what are the things that this government should do to impact on the life of the lots of the ordinary Nigerian? Rather than sit and speak about federal character and what have you, we need to speak about infrastructure. This is a tag team. As far as this government is concerned, it's a joint ticket. Whatever the president is doing and the vice president, there is no way we're saying we're creating an agenda for the vice president, for example. It's an agenda that brought the both of them together. What we're saying is consolidate upon that, those promises that you have made to Nigerians, build upon them. For example, I have always spoken about foreign direct investment. The government alone cannot handle the issues that confront our economy. We need to begin to woo in investors. But here we are. Our hands are tied. Investors are flowing away out of this country. I'm not talking about portfolio investment. We need investment, live investment, things people can hold and see, where people can get employment. Okay. These are the sort of areas that we need to speak about, rather than the realities of federal character and what have you.
The worst thing you can do to yourself is to live in self-denial. We have a president from the north. We have a vice president from the south. Why? The basic reason is because of the federal character principle, because we want to bring everybody together on board. How do you now want to limit it to a certain cadre, and then at the other cadre you say it doesn't matter, it's going to be based on merit? What is the essence of the federal character? Is to build the nation, is to unite the nation. Let me give you a typical example.
But politically speaking,
let me give you a typical example.
Politically speaking, I'm asking you the question.
Yes.
Because you are talking so much about it. Politically speaking, do you think it's an area that the vice president can dabble into? Because what you are talking about requires firing and hiring.
I think hold on, sir. Yeah. He can kickstart a process. He may not be able to complete it, but he can kickstart the process. Let me tell you why you see some of the agitations that you see today, and people query them, but they don't look at the fact that are on the table. The Southeast is the only zone in Nigeria that has 5 states. Now, if you are going to do employment and say every state is going to get 5,000, it means that the 5 states, the Southeast will be losing out 5,000 because they have only 5. We have only 5 states. If you are appointing your same ministers are going to be one minister per state.
Chuma, we know
what
all
we
this.
want.
What I'm asking you,
we have a,
do you know? Okay.
We have a document in place.
Answer me.
Yes, please.
Do you know how inconsequential the Nigerian constitution makes a vice president or a deputy governor? In fact, in Nigeria, they call them spare tires.
But this acting.
Yes,
we have
I'm driving a political point. For a period.
No, Mamode, government is a continuum.
No, for a period.
We have the conference. We had a national conference. The document is still there.
We have Chuma, you are from the Southeast.
Yes.
We have seen a deputy governor.
Yes.
From one of the Southeast states, I think that's Enugu State, impeached for having a small poultry where he had a few chickens at the back of his house. You and I know that was not the reason for the impeachment.
Yes.
Yes. So
well, I don't know. You said you and I.
We are all Nigeria. He went to court, and he got judgment that it was wrongful impeachment. Yes, and that
all we are asking the vice president to do is to jumpstart a process. We have the document of the conference document is there. Jumpstart the process. Let's start this process of
Frank wants to
comment. Frank, Wayne, please. See, no matter how much you try to justify their appointments, whether they represent federal character or not, the provisions of Section 14, subsection 3 and 4 provide that you have to run the affairs of the country, the ministries, the department and agencies in such a manner that it will reflect federal character, it will reflect the ethnic diversity of Nigeria, and then it will give a sense of belonging to every ethnic group. Now, no matter how much you try to justify it, the people from the Southeast today feel very alienated. Now, that is a matter of fact. So whether you care less or you don't or you deny it, they feel very alienated. Now, so the people of the Niger Delta feel about the way the matter in issues of resources. And for that short period, the vice president was acting president before the president came back. You saw how much he did to assuage the tensions in the Niger Delta. There's nothing that stops the vice president. I can assure you that there are a number of positions in MDAs that are yet to be filled by this government. This government has been, historically slow in making appointments. I have actually had to go to court to compel the president to appoint a council for the National Human Rights Commission. He's yet to do that. We're still arguing in court why he should do it so quickly, because human rights is fundamental. Now, these appointments, various boards and all of that are open, the vice president can now use those opportunities to now assure the people of the Southeast to a large extent that, look, you are part of this government. Now, it doesn't matter what my friend MUKHTAR or a number of our friends and brothers from the North and who are apologists of this government try to justify. No, it's a geopolitical thing. It's a matter of states. We appointed ministers from the state. When you make all the ministers from a particular region junior ministers, and when the people, the message they get, what is communicated to them is that they're not part of the government. You have to address it. And I've seen that even the president, before he traveled, has attempted to address it. Now, you look at the situation. If you ask me why was Nnamdi Kanu released and Sambo Dasuki is still in incarceration, there is no, when you mention the fact that Yemi Osibajo is an SAN and is also a professor of law, what we also expect at this time is that he should be bold and courageous enough to respect the orders of court and release Sambo Dasuki. Sambo Dasuki should be a free man. Should be a temporary free man pending when he's convicted. Because you didn't also have to, with all the horrendous and difficult, terrible bail conditions that were slammed against Nnamdi Kanu, he was released one way or the other. So why shouldn't Sambo Dasuki be released? I'm not saying this, but sometimes we must speak the truth. So in this regard, the vice president must now realize that he needs badly to assuage the tensions in the Southeast, like the president has done by seeing to the release, because the president can actually frustrate the release, could have frustrated the release of Nnamdi Kanu, just like the way he mentioned in his presidential media chat, and said, look, you don't expect me to release such a fellow who is like I mean, you don't, and I mean, he referred to Nnamdi Kanu and Sambo Dasuki in that media chat. He said, you don't expect me to release those persons. And I mean, you could give matching orders to the DSS chief, or to the EFCC chairman, or to the IG, and say, look, I don't care how you do it, but keep this man in detention. And these men having the sword, because that's what force of law, of the sword in the system, can actually ride the roughshod of the law. And that's what they've done in the Sambo Dasuki's case. So we expect now that this time around, the president should do these two things. Give the impression that he is subject to law. We are a country, we are a republic run by law, and not run by the whims and caprices of any man. And then he should also now try to give a sense of belonging, particularly just the way he did in the Niger Delta to the Southeast. There's no doubt about
Are we speaking of, are we holding brief for Nnamdi Kanu and Sambo Dasuki here?
No. Well, there's nothing wrong in holding their briefs.
Yeah, but no, I'm only trying to clarify. I'm only trying to clarify certain things here. But all right then, away from that.
I believe strongly that Sambo Dasuki should be.
Yes, no, I'm only trying to clarify everything.
Maybe he has an issue with you holding brief.
No, there's nothing wrong.
I don't have an issue with that. All I'm trying to say is, here was speaking of the task before the vice president. Of course, we should try to look at these things holistically. He has spoken about the move by the president releasing Nnamdi Kanu. That has assuaged the tension that says there is no inclusiveness as far as the people of the Southeast are concerned. That's quite simplistic. I mean, it's reductionist. You don't give. That's not reason at all, as far as I am concerned, to say. People should feel a sense of belonging by a release of an individual.
Oh yes,
are we saying there's no sense
of release? I am not saying there isn't. I am not saying there isn't. All I am saying is this: should we hold that as a yardstick? Is that a rationale to say people feel a sense of belonging as far as governance is concerned?
Of course.
No, it doesn't.
There was a lot of agitation. There were a lot of young unemployed people.
I think
that is because the idea of Biafra.
Listen,
that's because the idea of Biafra was sent. It was enmeshed in emotions and sentiments. It was never brought within the context of intellectualism. There was no discussion as to look. Listen. If you speak of what I'm saying is this: if you speak of Biafra today out there, the idea is to a layman, it's about secession, isn't it? But then there are few people, elites from the Southeast, who said what they wanted was restructuring.
I'm happy you said few people. But the majority of people in the Southeast, why have we had all the IPOB riots and all that? Look, the unity of the country was being threatened. I don't know where you came from, where you think as if you're not in this country. You don't know the palpable tension that existed in the Southeast that threatened the unity of this country. Our president, not the vice president, addressed it. And the release of Nnamdi Kanu was fundamental.
There's no case about that. But what I am saying is this. What I am saying is, my concern is this.
The final question, Chuma. Yes. Let's give you the final question, the final word on the program tonight. I tried to get something from all of you, but it seems that nobody wanted to address it. Yes. The vice president, this is a political system. And you know, vice presidents or deputy governors can err if they take certain actions. Now, the president is going to be back. Yeah. The vice president is just acting for a
I think Frank has already answered that question.
Yeah, so the vice president is going to be back. Do you think that, politically speaking, it's a gamble the vice president can take?
This is the O&M
I think that, like I said, government is a continuum. It's a joint ticket. If what he's doing is in the interest of the presidency
and the country,
what is wrong with that?
There's something can be wrong with it. I need to comment quickly.
Let me also say something.
President Obasanjo has at a time punished the vice president for being unruly.
Frank,
it's possible that this vice president needs to tread cautiously, and I think the political scientists can advise him. If the vice president needs to tread cautiously, because there is the strong possibility that he can be punished by the president.
Can be sanctioned.
Okay, before we go, let me give you. I'll give you a last one.
We're out of time.
We're out of time.
We need the vice president.
Is it one sentence?
One sentence.
Yes, please.
We have 9 ports, seaports, changed in the Niger Delta. All it takes to turn them around is policy.
Okay.
That's an
Please.
article. That's a newspaper article. It's not one sentence.
Gentlemen, we have to end it here. Thanks for joining us tonight. Of course, this conversation continues. I'm Obiora Ilo from Abuja, Nigeria. Thanks for watching.
And Sunday, 2 p.m. we'll be back here. My name is Mahmoud. Thank you all so much for watching. Ambassador.
From AIT Studios in Abuja, Nigeria, this is the O&M Sunday Show with Obiora.